God.
I'd say it was me. Now I can blame it you. They just don't like me, that's all.
So yeah, they set this up earlier,
Yeah.
I'm sure that it failed.
Right. They knew that you would be the responsible one, so now you get the little gold
Machine.
star.
Too small. Right?
Is Linda in the office?
4 times too small.
Is Linda in the office?
No, she took the day off, of course.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's why it falls on my shoulder.
Okay, that's what happens when you're the next in line around here. But we'll see what you can do. I'm just gonna keep them carrying on, otherwise we might be here all night here.
Absolutely.
And okay, EDC Chairman's report. I'm gonna take and wait till, because most of the stuff that I wanna talk about is on the agenda further down. So I'll wait until I get into each one of those categories. For Selectmen's update, Irene is not here, so there will be no update from Irene. Economic Development Administrator, Lauren is not here. But I did want to take and just shout out that Lauren did an absolutely fabulous job down there with that FlyIn. Everything was running so smooth down there, and it was a good turnout. I mean, that Goodspeed parking lot was pretty full of cars. And so I was very pleased. When I went around the corner, I thought, oh, maybe not too many people are coming down, but it wasn't crazy around the center of town, but it was just a nice amount of people. It was a manageable amount, and so it worked real good. The plane came in, right on time, and then of course they went up to the gazebo, and I just want to shout out that Lauren did a great job.
And was it a bit less than the previous year?
Yes, yes, yeah, it was, but.
Last year was during the COVID also, wasn't that? Was that a COVID?
Just at the end, I mean, so, but no, it was, and there was a tremendous numbers.
This year was great.
They were up around the little Nathan Hale area there, the fire truck stopped up there, and then, they got out and lit up the tree there, and so I think it was almost like the perfect number of people that could be handled down there on those roads in the parking lot. And so I'd just like to say that she did a great job for the town, and I couldn't be more pleased. Just to give you a little update on the subcommittees and what's going on, the Connecticut Landmarks, with our partnership with them and River Trails, we had a Zoom meeting on December the 8th, and that was basically to get any feedback from the other towns that were involved. Chester, they were on, and they basically gave some comments and things that they wanted to take and do.
Hey guys.
How are we doing?
I apologize.
No problem. And we'll get you on the payroll around here.
And Brian said that as long as it says it's recording, it's the IT guy. As long as it's recording, it is recording, but for whatever reason it's not making the YouTube. He's just going to lift the recording and place it up on YouTube at a later date.
Okay, great.
But it should be recorded.
Okay, good, because we kind of need that. That's the only way that Sharon makes the minutes out of this.
Gotcha.
Okay, great. Technical difficulties here. But so it was a good meeting, and it was nice because it got people from there were people from out of town on it, and so it was kind of interesting to see that it was a bigger circle than if we had it, because we had one at the Grange Hall, we had one at Palmer Martin House, and then this one was a Zoom one. And so it worked out good, and I think that it was nice to take and get Chester very much involved, and so that was all good. And then last night I was at the Haddam EDC, and I called them. last month, and they canceled their meeting in November, so I couldn't meet with them, but I met with them last night and kind of went over the whole plan for the whole trail and how they were going to be affected by that trail. And so they were right on. They said this is exactly what we wanted to see happen here, and so they were very pleased. And their only concern is how are we going to handle it on Bridge Street, with basically the street is not that wide right through there, so it isn't wide enough to make a bike lane on the pavement. So we're working on what we could do there, how we could handle that. Certainly their walking part of it is great. I mean, you couldn't have a nicer sidewalk than what they put together over there. Their crosswalks are great, and with the lights and everything there, so certainly as safe as you could possibly make it over there. And so they're basically going to be looking into alternatives. Basically, I called or sent an email over to their town planner, Bill Warren, and basically he sent me back something showing the possibility of what they would like to do is to get a trail a little closer to the river. And so after you go over the railroad tracks, shoot into the property that kind of follows the railroad track down, which is a state property. So we're going to throw
South or north?
It'd be south.
South, okay.
Yeah, and so it goes into that it's that old gravel pit. There's an old gravel pit in there, and it was an old Hood and Smith gravel pit in there. And so basically we're going to look at that. But then, of course, they said, we really want the people to go by the businesses too. And that was my comment. We're doing this so that they could get to, Dunkin Donuts. They could get to basically provisions.
Boy, it's too bad with all the work they just did over there that they just didn't make it a little bit wider.
I know. I would have loved to have seen a turn lane over there into provisions, and a turn lane into and it doesn't look like their right of way is that wide over there. So I think they didn't have enough room without getting land. Go ahead, Ron.
What about in regards to the train tracks? I know the train track is active, you can't ride the track, it's not equipped for that. But adjacent to it, to the side, on the high side or the low side, is that possible for them to invest in a bike track along that trail? Because it is a nice trail.
Oh, it's a nice trail. I've walked that trail. I've walked it both ways, and I've gone north and I'm going south.
They consider that would put them on the map.
Well, it was kind of interesting. They had a committee that was looking into that for Haddam, and so Deep owns it. It's their property, but it is leased to Valley Railroad.
Right.
So Valley Railroad has a long-term lease on that property, and so they have to be in agreement with it. So what came out of this committee, I think they called it the Blue Trail Committee, was that yes, they would allow a trail adjacent on that right-of-way, but it has to be in agreement with Valley Railroad, and it has to be a minimum of 25 feet from the track.
Oh, really? But yeah, at that point there, that would be quite an expensive undertaking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because you see how wide that whole area is. I mean, they made like a little channel down through there to get that track through there, and sometimes there's a hill.
Beautiful investment, but heavy money.
Yeah, and we were looking at it even last night, right along 154, where it drops off right there. I mean, there's just it drops off like mad. The track is there, and then it drops right off into the river. So it just doesn't seem to be any shelf there to work with. And but I was interested to see that they have gotten into it with Deep. Deep is in agreement to take and do it. The railroad is in agreement to do it, but a lot of restrictions upon it. So, but you know, okay, that's the bad spot on that whole right of way is really that area right there. And so maybe there's chances, you know, in other spots where we could actually get into that right away and do something there. But coming up from probably, you know, almost from Ferry Road coming north, it's gonna be pretty tough to get from there to Route 82
On the Haddam side.
on the Haddam side.
But you know, when you leave the little Marvel's
Yeah.
restaurant,
Yeah.
you shoot straight up there, then you bang a right, and you come the back way on the high side of 154, south side of, east side of
Yeah.
9.
You know,
That's a beautiful back road.
It is a nice road.
the, like, I'm friends with Jim Bucko, who owns the wedding place there.
Good
And-
speed.
Yeah,
What do
no,
they call it?
it's a,
What do they call it?
blanking, but it's River House. River House.
River House,
And,
okay.
and he was trying to work a deal with the state to get the property behind his property there.
Yep.
And he actually bought property in Chester, like, he bought like 80 acres, and he wanted like 3 or something, I forget the exact numbers. And then was going to do an exchange.
Yep.
And then people in Haddam raised their hackles up, in Chester they raised their hackles up and said you can't do this because of the X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And so you know, after investing a whole bunch of money, it never went through.
Right.
My point is that you know, I know he's amenable to, he wants to use that property back there to, when people come to have their wedding, they have a place to go walk. He goes back there and now he like puts down wood chips and cuts the trees and this and that.
Oh,
you know,
there is some
maintains-
walking area back there?
Yeah, and he has to get permission from the state.
Yeah.
He's been slapped with fines for cutting the wrong tree, and even though he's like a naturalist and is he's not back there just like clear cutting the place. He's like wants it to be a nice place, and so my point is that perhaps if you went over the river, I know he would be like, yeah, you could put a path through here and through my property, and then connect it over to behind the you know, over some more state land, which goes to the DEP or the DOT garage back there, and then that would get you out to 154 or something like that. So
I think
it would be, you know,
it would be a
something
beautiful
like that.
spot.
I know
because
you're
of-
not involved with that aspect of it, but
Well,
if you're
no,
talking
actually
to those
we
people,
are.
it might be something to mention.
Yeah,
Like,
because-
go talk to Jim Bucko.
Yeah.
We overlooked, and so that's a good suggestion. You
Yeah.
never know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
You
you're
never
just
know
assuming
until you
can't touch
ask.
private property.
Yeah, and I think that
Tax write-offs, et cetera.
what we're trying to do is to coordinate this whole thing, and basically East Haddam EDC is the lead one on this. So we're the lead, and so we're taking and kind of putting all these pieces together. Chester has been great. Their EDC has, you know, basically laid out where they wanted the path to go. They met with the DOT about where they could, because they just want to paint something on the roadway. And, you know, that road 148, that's you know, it's a tight road going through there.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a wide bike path, but they want to, you know, basically, and then
For cyclists, it's fine, but not for a family.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they want to loop it around and bring it back around by the convalescent home and then bring it back out to 154 again. But so they're kind of, you know, putting some pieces together over there. Obviously, they want it so that people will come in and use their restaurants, use their, you know, their businesses, and so then they made the parking lot up at the top of the hill. They said that would be available, and that they would put bike racks up there. So that people could go up there, park their bikes, and, you know, basically walk down to the village. And
They should buy their bike racks from Pedal Power.
they sure should. Maybe send them an email. Tell them that where they could find those bike racks, and because we're all going to be looking for those bike racks.
Yeah.
And but I think that the meeting basically went with Haddam very well. They were very definitely said that this is exactly what they would like to see in that area, and so they're definitely partners with us. And I think that right now, since this was the last meeting for the River Trails group to basically get information from the public, they're now going to put a plan together. And that plan probably will come out in April or something like that. So we're gonna be the first ones to get it. We can take a look at it, see how it looks. If we like it, then we can take it to Chester, or maybe we're gonna have a joint meeting here, and we'll invite Chester EDC, and we'll invite Haddam EDC, and we'll have a meeting right here. And let's all take a look at it together and voice our opinions about the whole thing. And kind of go from there. So that's where we are. So I think it's moving along. And I do like, I think we're getting a lot of positive PR from it. And so East Haddam is looking like they're the organizer of this, which
Have
is
I
great.
missed it, or has this been in the paper?
Yeah, there's been a couple of articles in the paper.
Really?
Mhm. Yep. And so there were, they basically at the time, we had meetings at the, I think there's been 2 at the Palmer House. And so there, East Haddam News picked it up, and then so they had some stuff on it. I think that when it actually gets down on a map now, and people can see, because that's the first thing everybody wants to know. Where is it, in my front yard, or is it across the street
Right.
from me? And so everybody wants to see where is it, and kind of go from there. But so we'll see what that comes back with, and then like I say, we'll have a first shot at it. Let's see what we can do to make it, perfect it, and then we'll kind of go from there. Anybody have any questions or anything on what's going on in there? EDC and P&Z, the Moodus development plan and parking. At our last meeting, we had a good meeting. It was COG was there, and so having them, Sam Gold, he wasn't actually at the meeting, but he was on the phone, and we were talking back and forth with him. And so I think they bring so much to the table, and I think that it really put an awful lot of emphasis on the fact that we want to do something with Moodus area to get it so it's more appealing, get it so it's more pleasing to the appearance when you drive by, and see what we can do about basically traffic calming. And so what we've asked for is a study by, it's a DOT program that they, upon request from a town, will come in and take a look at your town center or business district and see what would be feasible from DOT's standpoint to what you could do and what the town wants done. We're looking to take and have some parking. That road is so wide, and to take and see if we could have some parallel parking or some kind of parking along the street in that very wide park. Ralph?
Refresh my memory, from the point of the package store down to the gas station to the monument?
No, we're talking from the post office to the monument.
Or from the post
So-
office?
Yeah, so it goes from the post office to the green.
Parallel parking, right, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what they come up with, I doubt it, but never know.
Well, as you were saying, how wide it is there, if you're pulling out of North Moodus Road, I'm sure you know, to cut across to make a left-hand turn, the breakdown lane, it's almost like a 2-lane road before you even get to your lane. You can look, and there can be no traffic, but by the time you get to your lane and you make the turn, somebody's right up on you there.
Yeah.
Because you're covering.
I've seen accidents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
But very
I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised there aren't more accidents there.
I know, there are accidents there, but basically, you're right. I'm surprised there, because anytime I'm trying to go from, WF Palmer Road and shoot just straight across.
Right.
To get up in North Moodus Road.
One minute there's a car there, next minute it's not.
Yeah. And if you got a truck with a trailer on the back of it.
Yep.
It's like,
Right.
and because basically they're coming at 50, 60 miles an hour. And that's
And it's
what,
35 there.
yeah. And so we're thinking if you narrow it down, it'll automatically slow the traffic down, and especially if you've got something. They just did, the last one that the state did with this, they did Durham, but the last one they did was Deep River. And Deep River, I mean, that was a very narrow roadway through there. And they got, basically parallel parking on both sides of that road.
Yep.
And so, I mean, they have nowhere near the amount of blacktop that we already got right here.
I think it's a great study. But I gotta ask you one question. Who needs the parking?
I was wondering that same thing.
Well, I think what the zoning has changed the rules up there.
Yeah.
Where basically now if you go to build a new building, let's say the plaza wants to build a new building,
Okay.
the new building has to face the road, and it has to be no more than 40 feet back from the road.
Right.
So they're trying to do is to get away from the
Plaza-
strippy
the
kind
plaza.
of the plaza kind of a
Plaza, right.
look, and turn it around so that they're two-story buildings, and making it so that before you couldn't have residential use in that zone. So now they've just changed the use so you can have business on the first floor and residential on the second floor.
So I can see that on Joe Williams Road. It's a rather wide road, and there are spots available for development there.
Yep.
Or even the existing buildings could use a little more parking. The Liberty actually gets filled up once in a while.
Yep.
Jessex gets filled up.
And so does Nutmeg.
Nutmeg,
Nutmeg
that's gonna be
definitely
moving. That's gonna be moving, and then in the future, it's gonna be moving again, perhaps. But I'm just curious, maybe on that road, but I don't see any need for parking.
On 149.
149. Just
The only place that
you
would
know,
work would be
If it did happen, it'd be great, but I just don't see any.
Gristmill Market.
Who would
Well,
benefit?
people could park there and just run into the market.
Right.
Run into the market from down there?
No, basically it'll be in front of their place too. It'll be in front of the market. And so it'd be in front of the old theater. And
All the way up
so
to the wow.
it'd be all of that area in there would be parallel
It'd be
parking.
interesting to see that, to see if they.
It'd
could
be
do that.
interesting to see it on a map, how it would work.
Oh, yeah, I can see how it would look.
Yeah. But I mean, basically you've got
What it
to,
looks like.
yeah, you got to get the cooperation from the landowner.
Oh, yeah.
Because basically you're gonna be nipping probably 10 feet into the private property in front of the old theater.
A great idea. Parking's important. Great idea.
Well, I think the biggest thing is basically calming the speed of traffic. That is
Yeah.
the big thing in there. You can't get people to basically look around at the businesses if I'm going 60 miles an hour. All I'm thinking about doing is getting through there.
Well, in many states around, let's just talk about the United States, they know how to slow traffic down. The South has been doing it since I was knee-high. What do they call those? Speed traps. Nowadays, you have cameras, even if they don't work, but they do work. I took a couple trips to New York, and I'm still paying off my traffic tickets. I don't
Connecticut-
really slow down for every stop sign or street corner, so I go
In
along.
Connecticut, they
And I
can't-
get these things from they got $200, $185.
They can send
They
you
get
a
a
warning in
picture of
Connecticut, but they
everywhere,
can't send you a
so-
ticket.
Yeah, what?
They can send you a warning in Connecticut, but they can't send you a ticket.
Yeah.
Like West Hartford had cameras, and I don't even know if they're sending them out anymore, but they can send warnings, but you can't do a infraction by camera in the state of Connecticut.
Huh, well, they can
You
change
can do,
that
they
pretty
do it in Rhode
quick.
Island.
And New York.
Yeah.
So, but it's easy to slow traffic down, because a perfect example is Goodspeed Plaza, the swing bridge, and Route 149 there, where all the holes are.
Put in chicanes.
They're deserving of having slow traffic. These people, when they visit each other for a cocktail party,
Right.
it's sinful, and traffic is fast.
Yeah.
And all it takes is cameras. You don't even need speed bumps.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that about Connecticut, that, I'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that is what this committee is looking at, is to see how can we make Moodus more friendly area for somebody to basically shop there. And certainly, basically, the old theater building and basically, you know, as we knew it, was the old cement building there. You know, those businesses are basically now they're industrial uses. They're not retail uses. And of course, we'd like to see retail uses in those buildings. And so, you know, as time goes by, who knows? You know, maybe they'll change. But you know, certainly right now, they're contractors who are in there.
Which buildings were you talking
You know,
about?
basically the old theater
Scott
building,
Energy is and the new oil company is.
where the new oil company is in
Scott
the
Energy.
Yeah, TL, right.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so you know you got two oil companies in there right now, and
Right.
so I mean that's what I think the P&Z committee would like to see is basically retail there, but I think they were also by allowing residential, and I brought it up, you know, basically it's hard to justify if all you're gonna get is one floor when you're building a building. That's my expensive square footage. You know, the second floor is half that amount. And so let me have some uses on the second floor, but you gotta have, you know, basically residential, because there's no demand around here for office space and that sort of thing.
so with that new ordinance, does that help young Joey Janistek out with Sandbells? Can he finally occupy his second floor? Are there new regs in that part of town?
No, this is strictly
So
for
they
Moodus.
still got him hand-tied?
Yeah, yeah. Because basically what, they said that he couldn't have a residence on the second floor?
Or even occupancy on the second floor? That's a shame, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah, I mean, he made the investment. He
Plenty of
basically, he put a second floor on the building, and
Right.
so, I don't know what that whole situation is, but there's another case where that's what we wanna do with basically the little store, perfect, your little store, and have some, you know, have a couple of rentals upstairs.
Everybody benefits.
Everybody, and we need rentals. I mean, rentals are very short around. So, and basically, I mean, everything they say, as far as economic development, the problem with Connecticut is we've got no affordable housing. And how do you get started?
Restrictions.
So it's pretty hard to bring in that 25 to 35-year-old when you can't find a place where you can live. That's affordable. So it seemed like they were going in the right direction. I think they should also include like where Joey is down there and basically do that and make it so that you can have basically apartments over top of commercial properties. And you know, look at Chester. You know, what is that? It's all residential upstairs. They're all apartments over top of every one of those shops, and it makes more life around the center. So it just seems like it works, and so I think that, you know, that maybe that's going to be something that EDC might do and encourage them to take and do that. I don't know what the situation is in East Haddam Village. I don't know whether they can have residential over top of businesses or not.
Well,
You know, Ralph?
those are grandfathered in. There's no take, they've been there since the beginning of time. About
Who
ice
is?
cream, the ice cream shop.
Oh, yeah, those, but I mean, if you have a new building you put up, can you have a store on the first floor? And a residential upstairs?
I don't know. Well, I had a tough time at the Co-Fish. If it was two different venues, they wanted me to get the water protection spray system, which wasn't possible. There's no place for storage of water tanks.
Oh, you mean for if you had a mixed-use building?
Yeah, if I had two different owners, or if I was the owner downstairs and to have a second occupancy,
You had to have water storage?
yes, which was not feasible. In the budget, also in the ground, to put the X amount of gallons of water in the
Yeah,
ground.
because usually they're 10,000-gallon tanks.
Exactly, yeah,
And
that wasn't possible.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, things like that would, I mean, and, you know, you do have the Connecticut River there. I mean, you could run a hose over the Connecticut River.
If they let you draw out of it.
Oh, they'll let you
They
draw
won't
for
let you-
fire
You
protection.
can't put your gutters into the river.
No, but you can put, you know, if there's a fire, you can be sure if there's
They
a
do.
fire in the center of town,
Yeah.
you know, they're gonna put a hose in that river.
Yeah,
And, well, in the Goodspeed, they pump out of there for their fire, that's where their fire,
They most definitely do. They have their big storage tanks downstairs.
right, and they can pump, right out of the river. They
Right.
got the big pumps.
Yes.
So, they have them, but I will look and see if East Haddam Village, if you had, let's say if you had Co-Fish, because that was a two-story building, right? Co-Fish?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, that's two-story.
5,500 square feet.
On each floor?
No, about 25, 28 each floor.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. But the Bigelow building, that's not a Raymond Pelletier's building. That's,
Yeah, but that's grandfathered. That's always been
Doesn't
apartments
matter.
upstairs,
Right.
and I think 2 apartments have kind of always been upstairs there. But no, I meant if you wanted to make a change of use, like Co-Fish. Co-Fish would have been a good, where you're going to have basically one use downstairs and have enough different use upstairs. And let's see what the village of East Haddam has, and for regs, and also what it is basically in the IG zone. And see if you can have rental apartments upstairs over top of a business. And I think the wording that they have in Moodus they put in there is pretty good. I looked at it from the standpoint of an investor, and I think it's it's feasible sort of thing. It makes it a lot more feasible than just building a one-story building and putting a roof on it, and that's all you're going to get. It almost won't work today to pencil out a building and just build a one-story building on those commercial lots.
Are they somewhat flexible in the language regarding commercial? Where I'm going is, as a retailer, I think it's a bit naive to expect that retail is going to carry the day, because people shop online, so you put in a little clothing shop, it was a destination place at that point. And so, like if somebody wanted to have their tech business, Bitcoin, whatever thing downstairs where they're going to have 40 people around computers during the day and then apartments above, or is it specifically geared towards retail?
I think they're saying that use would be office, and that they would like to see on the second floor.
Okay.
That would be an office use.
Yeah. I guess my only caution would be to not
tie it into, because we all know.
I think retail would be a
retail is a tough one today, because let's face it, what do we see? Every truck we see out there going in everybody's yard is basically buying online.
Yeah.
Very important that one business can't support the building. With the expenses that we have, the overhead and et cetera, look at technically they gave me a hard time at Co-Fish.
Right.
And look at the hard time that Swing Bridge Package Store had for years, especially with Drew, previous owner, trying to get occupancy for different ideas that have for town meetings and et cetera. And that building is beyond gorgeous upstairs, right?
Yeah.
For a place to have a meeting, and the town is actually looking for places to have meetings. There's still people that are looking this is not always available, the town. They still have it at the Grange. And the old
That's a good
town
point
hall.
you brought up about one retail is not gonna support a building.
Yeah, it's just,
It won't.
just so it's.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you're gonna have, if you're gonna sell clothing, you think that's gonna make it when
Right,
everybody buys online today?
Especially the
We're
little
not a
seasonal
tourist
town.
town yet.
Yeah.
I got a friend
So,
Mystic maybe, but East Haddam, Connecticut, not quite. We can't quite support a coffee shop
might happen,
really big
but yeah.
time. We do.
yeah,
But it's not a big money maker.
just so there's thinking to get us there.
Yeah, no, and I think that we have to look at it as, and, if somebody did come to town and they did have an idea on this, I think, then it would have to come to EDC, and maybe we could go to P and Z and say, we
Help
think
with that.
that this is, maybe we need to wiggle it a little bit, but let's take and not tell this guy to go to East Hampton.
Especially when we have sewer system.
Well, it's down the center of town, yeah.
That's a
But,
that's a home run right there.
yeah, oh yeah, well, let's face it, down in the center of the village, if you didn't have sewers, we wouldn't be talking about very much down there. We're sitting on a solid hunk of ledge, that's all there is down there. But, so anyway, that's kind of where Moodus development plan is. And so what they're doing now is they're gonna take, and they've applied to the state, asked them if they will take a look at it. like everything with that, I'm sure it's 6 months out before they'll tell us whether they're gonna accept Moodus as an area in which we will do a study, and then we'll find out. And we'll go from there, that's all. Let's see, the Route 82 bike path and the zoning uses. Well, there it is right there, is a place where we could work in just what you were talking about. I mean, that's over
Yeah, I was
near
thinking the
Joey over there. And this is, because we're looking for new uses and what uses you could do there. And so Liz is working on that. And so we'll come back with some possibilities, and I think that we'll include that in there, that we could have some residential use on the second floor of buildings, and see what we could come up with that. I think that would be the best place in which we could do that, and go from there. Crosswalks on South Town Street. So what we're looking for with this bike path is there's probably 2 places where there's got to be a crosswalk, and basically we're trying to keep as much of the path on the easterly side of Route 82, but there's a couple of places where it has to pop over and go on the westerly side. So we need to basically have a crosswalk in one place, which is going to be around the Palmer Warner House someplace, Petticoat Lane, somewhere around that area. And then there'd be another one right at Mount Parnassus Road. And so there's going to be some crosswalks there. And that's what basically that committee is working on. And so when we get a little bit more info on that, I'll bring that to the committee and show that to what we can do there. And we do have in our budget some money to do some of that engineering around where the bike path might go, so that so basically the town's the one who has to go to work for us and do the DOT kind of stuff. An individual group can't go say they want to put a crosswalk somewhere. You got to basically have the town would have to apply for that stuff. And so anyway, we do have a little bit of money, not much, but a little bit in there to do it. East Haddam Business Association. From what I see, very little going on right now. I think they probably, need a little, some activities or something going on to kind of bring back the group. I think it's kind of shrunk now to, maybe, 10 or 12 or 15 or 20, businesses.
Go
ahead.
I don't want to take anybody's legs off from underneath them, but my first meeting, we talked about this, and remember it starting with people from the senior center wanted to do this.
Now you're down to the next one. Yeah, the one below it. You're down into
the welcome wagon.
Welcome wagon. Yep.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
Yeah. So you're just one ahead of me. That's all.
Right.
And so anyway, the business association basically. We'll wait until Mike is here and he can kind of update us a little bit on where they are. But I'd love to take and see a little bit more activity around getting the business association a little more geared up. They haven't been part of our business of the month because we like to have them a part of it, because basically it's supposed to be EDC and the business association who does this. And so Jess is basically the president of it. She's not available during the day, and that's when, basically we can get Irene to be in it. So, but Mike is, and so Mike is going, if Jess isn't available, Mike is going to sit in, and he's been doing that for the last few meetings, or the last few business of the month. And so, so we'll go from there, and we'll see what we can do. The next one here is basically the welcome wagon. There was a organization that was actually like a subcontractor who would do that. And I don't know, it's like $5 for every house that they gave a basket to or something, and then it would be up to the business association to ask the businesses to donate something, and, you know, we were gonna donate some flyers and this kind of stuff, and, just give them something to feel welcome, and I think that, I do like the idea to, you know, just to make our businesses known, and even just, you know, give them a map of the town, and, cause most people who move here don't have a clue. They're lucky they know where Mount Parnassus Road is, never mind Haywardville Road is.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, and also, you know, have something that shows where the town beach is, where some things are around. But basically what we're looking for is to let them know that there's businesses around here. So we'll see what happens with that, and but I would like to do something with it. Goodspeed Landing and the swing bridge. You know, they're starting it, and so I've been impressed so far. I mean, they've had live people on moving that traffic across, and that was the one thing I felt was the best thing they could do is have
Cold
live.
and windy, and they're out there.
Oh God, I'll tell you, it
Same
must
two
be
guys.
must be some cold on that bridge.
It's all bundled up, wrapped up.
Yeah, all you see is a little bit of his face in there, and I thought, wow.
Remember this, it's just the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
15th.
yeah, oh yeah.
It's gonna test the time.
Yeah. Oh no,
You bet.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
one tough place to take and work, because that wind never stops.
No.
I hope it's a bunch of young men, because nowadays most construction crews, everybody's over 65.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is.
Good way to break the young guys in. On
Yeah,
that
yeah. Put them out there to direct traffic on that
side.
bridge.
They lose them.
They'll say maybe this construction isn't a good idea. I'm going in and run my computer where it's 70 degrees and do that good stuff. All right, but I think from what I see, is anybody here got anything that they feel is not running well with how they've started it so far? I'm satisfied with.
I think if you're a boater, you'd probably be kind of bummed out because the bridge broke.
Yeah.
And they have to hand crank it now.
Fortunately, it's
But
December.
I think it's done for the. I think it's done
it-
for the winter now.
Yeah, yeah, it isn't like it's October and everybody's got to get those sailboats up there, and so now
There were like 12 boats parked out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they were like a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago. And,
well, they only open it once a day, and
Yeah.
so you come up and if they don't know that, and a lot of them didn't know that
there
it
were
was.
people calling the airport. They're like,
Yeah, what's going on?
because there's no, I'm sure there's notices posted somewhere.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you're just like bringing your boat up to
No.
Hutzels, you know, you just.
Yeah. Then you take and say, "Whoa! I gotta keep turning and turning for 12 hours." But yeah, there was a lot of them there anchored out there, waiting to get up. The library study committee, I know they finished their report, and they're going to basically give their report to the selectmen on the selectmen's meeting on the 21st. Ralph, do you have?
Well, they've selected, I believe it was all 4 places. 2 of the places were a double site, which a lot of the public didn't realize that.
They were.
For example, like Heritage Park,
Yeah.
there's actually 2 sites there.
Oh.
And I heard a number of people in town say, "Oh my God, you can't take away the walk space," but it's not necessarily there. It could be in the center there, but it could be on that little high little bluff where they have that gazebo.
Yep.
That's a beautiful place there.
Is there enough to get that big a building on there?
Yeah, you'd have to flatten it down a little bit
Yeah.
to level it off.
Yeah.
And then it could be a small incline, just like the town building here is actually higher than the parking lot. You would never know it, how nice of a job they did
Yeah.
with the,
Getting a gradual grade there.
yeah. So anything's possible. But there's 2 spots there, and I forgot where the other, the other location where there's 2 spots is at the old town hall, the old town
Range area.
because that original plan that the guy named
Yeah, Hans Loves.
drew up, which
Yeah.
is rather quite nice,
Yo, it was a beautiful plan.
but it's a 2-story.
Mm-hmm.
It would require 2 stories, and two stories requires more staff, expensive staircases, elevators.
Well, that was just his drawing. Doesn't mean it had to be. Why did it have to
It was
be?
just a good example of one idea back 10, 12 years ago, at least. And then the other spot possibly is south of the old Grange Hall in the big field where they usually have the auction,
Yeah,
right there. That's a nice piece of land.
yeah,
I know there's a big setback for the state.
yep.
It's shocking how far back that monument comes, but I don't know how they could work around that. But there's a good spot for a one level.
Yeah, and it's all level there
Yeah,
too.
it's all one level,
Yeah,
a single floor building. But the scoop is, if you want this federal money or the state money, with 9,000 people, it requires a 16,000 square foot building.
that seems incredible.
And if you don't do it, you don't get the state money, so in other words, we won't be doing it. So in other words, it's gonna be, and they are gonna get a new library, because
Yeah.
they've outgrown these two.
Yeah.
And to bring them up to ADA, it just doesn't make sense, there's not enough room there. And, bookshelves can't be any higher than 44 inches now.
Yeah,
So books are more spread out. Everybody needs a little private room. Administration needs a private room, private bath, And
Yeah.
they want to make it more of a community center, so there's a big gathering spot. They even want to have a shower in one spot, which is not a bad idea, because if there is a big shutdown for 2 weeks, power, like we've had them before, technically, where do people go? Where does the community go?
No, we all went to the schools, that's where we went.
Yeah, they went to schools, but there's another section where they can go. But those are the ideas of what they could do at 16,000 square feet.
That's huge.
It is, but.
If you're
but that's
doing all
the-
that stuff, though, that doesn't sound like enough.
So there's the studies that the state does.
Yeah.
And so with all those pieces of land, which are really impressive pieces of land, and I think the ones that I just mentioned, the town already owns them.
Yeah, and you're not gonna encroach on anybody there.
No, and
It's not like the senior center though, okay, the parking lot, what, we gonna share a parking lot and all that stuff?
Centrally located is an important thing.
Yep.
But you gotta realize, we're out in the country, this is a big town.
Yeah.
Nothing really is centrally located, face it. A matter of fact, one of the spots was the ball field out behind this building. And some of you might remember that there's a big flat ball field sort of out behind the utility buildings. Is it that way?
Yeah. It's not over there.
I want to double check you on that. No, it should be over there.
It should be down there by Burry's, no?
It should be over
Yeah,
there.
between birds.
There,
Not over
That's
there.
that way?
yeah.
I'm gonna double check on this because I remember.
I gotta get my compass out, which way, it's gotta be north.
But you know what, some of the people on the committee says, well, it will be close to the town hall, which sure is a great idea. But it's down in the holler,
Yeah.
and you put $5-6 million down there, and people are gonna be coming up, knocking on the door, probably going down to the airport, where's the library? Have you seen it? Maybe you guys can tell us.
Yeah, right.
Disney flies around.
You better do a flyover.
Yeah.
Because,
More business for you.
yeah, you invest that much money into that particular building, it's gotta be a part of the landmark of the community, because, like I say, 5-6 million, it represents the town, and you'd wanna see it. Certain buildings, it's your commercial building, you don't want it to be hidden.
Right.
But another spot is the long green, the grassy area next to the parking lot.
Next to what parking lot?
This parking lot here.
Oh, the grassy part over there,
Grassy
yep.
parking lot
Yep.
adjacent to the parking lot, that
Yep.
grassy area. That's supposed to be backup for parking in the future. Also, I think there's a septic system out there, which is not that extensive, because it's just toilets here, basically, right?
Yeah.
But that would be nice if they could make that work. If they bought that house next door, which the town will never move fast enough to do that, that would be plenty of room. And to put another building there that maybe mimics this building, aesthetically it'd be nice. So they do have that facility also. Hopefully not down in the flat spot, but that's a nice spot. Heritage Park is really nice. The town, Old Grange is nice. Pretty much forget about the Rathbun.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd ever be able to buy out
You saw.
the old bank or Isso's place, the Bank of America or the Root Agency, whatever it was, you know what I mean?
National Bank in New England, it was big time.
Right next to First National. Is that a grocery store or a bank? First National. the grocery store, man. You
Right.
remember that?
Sure.
I haven't been to a grocery store since I was in First National. But anyway, they have city sewer down there. Donnie must remember First
Oh, yeah.
National. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray's too, don't forget
Why are you
about Ray.
pointing at me?
Yeah, then Ray, yeah.
I remember all that.
Yeah, but that's, you know, some nice encouraging places here for the library. And so we'll see what that committee, if it's another committee, now that they're gonna
Yeah, I imagine they're gonna have a building committee
Yeah,
now.
building committee now.
Yeah.
We're pretty fortunate.
Good, good, okay, well then, you know, we got some choices here
Yeah.
and then see where the general public comes in.
And I was quite surprised, one of the people that were sitting in on these meetings was young Mike. And I
Mike.
forgot Mike's last name, the director of the two libraries.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mike, didn't he left,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
with just a short notice.
Yeah,
I think he was well liked.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, he was
surprised.
very helpful with me all the time.
Oh, okay,
But, yeah, we lost it. That'd be hard, shoes to fill, I think.
well, I guess,
It pays, but it's gotta pay pretty good.
oh, it does, pays very well, pays
Oh,
very,
very well.
yeah, very well.
So maybe it won't be too difficult. It is a nice job,
Oh, that's.
you know, knowledgeable and so.
No, it's nice and it's really a critical thing if you're gonna now go out and try to get the town to support a $5 or $6 million investment. You better have somebody running this place who's basically gonna get some activities down
Bigger
there.
Staff.
Well, you gotta get activities going on. I mean, you go down to these other libraries and, I mean, you see what's going on in Colchester? I mean, that library's going all the time. And same way over in Haddam. I can't get over, they're open every night over there.
Lime.
Yeah, the one down in
That's pretty.
Lyme.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
East Hampton, very active and rather attractive.
Yeah,
You know, I like it.
yeah. The one, I think Haddam is absolutely beautiful. That
I heard
addition,
about
they
that.
did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
And Colchester too. Colchester did a beautiful job, and so.
There's
but-
money out there for it.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, there's certainly some support, I'm doing something with libraries, and like you say, we have to do something, because what we have isn't gonna work anymore. So, well, thanks for, you know, just kind of updating us on where that committee is. The proposed changes for campgrounds in East Haddam, basically, I was, they sent me a letter saying they had come up with some proposed regulations for campgrounds, and that would be then open to the whole town. You could do it anywhere. So you could have campgrounds, you know, at Lake Hayward. You could have campgrounds anywhere in town. You know, on Clark Hill Road, you could have a campground. So I think that it got so that it looked like it got to be too broad a situation, and so from what I'm understand right now, they're kind of just going to table it, and they're not going to really move on that. And I think that they originally were looking for a letter from us to give them some input from what EDC thought. But I don't think we need to do that now, and I don't know whether you have
I'd
any
like to know what
comments.
Don thinks.
Yeah,
Yeah, they wanted to expand it into the residential zone,
yeah,
and everything that campground people do has to be approved, special exception approved.
right.
So by just changing the verbiage that it's allowable in those areas, doesn't mean anything, because they still have to go through the approval process, and it has to be a special exception.
Right.
So by saying they're allowable there through approval, they
Doesn't
already
change
are.
anything.
No, you
Yeah.
can't do it now. You can't open up a one outside of the resort zone. That's the only place you can put a campground.
That's what
You
you're saying.
can't, that's what the regs say, but can you do a special exception approval?
In a residential zone?
Yeah,
No,
sure you can.
no.
They got
not
a
to-
church in a residential zone.
Oh, yeah, a church, sure, but not a campground. I can't open up a campground in a residential zone. Even,
But
there's
if
no,
you- if-
there's no
what
rules
are-
for it.
They're the same existing rules. You have a set of rules for campgrounds.
Right,
So if you have a special exception,
yeah. But the special exception in the rules say the only place you can apply for that is in the resort zone. That's the only place you can do that. So, anyway, I think that.
They say they're permitted, but you still have to have special exception approval.
You have to do
even
that,
in
you have
the
to do that in the
resort
resort zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like, I don't know what they're trying to say here, but.
Well, they're
just
trying to
like,
say you could
can
open,
expand it, yeah.
yeah, you could you could open it up, anywhere.
Yeah.
And of course, you know.
But they put more, you know, bunch more restrictions that there's a 20-acre requirement, and they're saying if you wanna open a new one, you gotta have 40 acres.
Yeah,
You know, so how many 40-acre pieces are left in town? Everything's getting chopped up.
yeah, yeah. But I brought up it.
I don't know what the intent was.
Yeah, I brought up at the meeting that basically what we're looking to do is if we're going to have a transient population come into town, we want them to basically utilize the services that our businesses have.
Yeah.
So if it's in the resort zone, it's going, where am I gonna go to the grocery store? I'm gonna go to the hometown market.
Yeah.
If it's out at Lake Hayward, I'm going to Stop and Shop in Colchester. We won't get 10 cents out of the thing. And I want to protect us.
Right.
And so
Trade in
let's,
town.
let's make sure that our businesses, if we're going to allow it, let's make sure our businesses are going to benefit from it.
How many?
I think we need to
Oh,
do.
wait a minute, let me have Ralph first.
Go ahead.
How many resort zones are there in our town?
One,
Just one.
just one resort zone, yeah.
Well, the campsites, Fox Hop Yard, Wolf's Den, then down your section.
Yeah, but that is basically, that's not in a resort zone. That was a grandfathered use.
Oh, that was grandfathered use.
Right.
So we only have one, huh?
Well, basically, you have all North Moodus Road, that's all, and then basically it comes all the way over here to, 149, all along 149, and then you've got basically all of, what's the camp right here?
Was it Banner too?
What is it?
That's the resort zone.
Yeah, that's all,
Banners Resort.
and
That's the
all
only
up
one
in,
we really have in
Yeah.
town.
right. That's basically the resort zone, and that's where you can put your campground.
And Frank Davis, only because it's grandfathered in and it doesn't exist.
No, Frank Davis is in the resort zone.
It is.
Yeah, everything on that Salmon River, that's all the resort zone. So wherever all those old resorts were, years ago, all of those are kind of thrown into that. And
Okay.
just like Orchard Mansion and all that, they're all in the resort zone.
Yeah.
So that to me would be a fabulous place to take and have, if you're gonna expand, camping, there's a great spot. You've got your roads already in there and Orchard Mansion
Oh,
there.
yeah, but that was recently taken over by quite a group, right?
Yeah.
It was recently taken over, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think they're gonna be doing things there?
Oh, yeah, they're doing things.
Yes,
They are. Oh,
Very active.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Where's that?
It's like a youth club.
My father's house.
Oh, yeah,
My father's
yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Youth club for.
They did a lot of work there when they first came in.
Yeah.
Well, they did all that paving over
Right.
there, but, I mean, the buildings.
Well, they're doing a lot of work in the buildings too.
Too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, you
good.
just don't see it, it's buffered from the street.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good, because I think that,
Let me ask though,
I don't know what the name is.
besides your campground when you opened it, when was the last time a new campground was opened in town?
I don't remember
I don't remember one.
anything, they expanded on resorts, that's it.
Right, okay.
And no real campground that I'm aware of.
No, and if Don doesn't know, we should.
I was just,
Wolf's Den was
I had to ask.
Yeah.
1970. Right, Charlie Wolf probably opened up
What,
Wolf's
do
Den
you
in
know what the-
1970.
What made planning and zoning take this up? Was there a push to
I
create a new campground somewhere?
Yeah, no, that came up at their last meeting, basically, is there somebody who's interested in opening a campground out on Mount Parnassus someplace, or anywhere else in town? And basically, they said no. And so it seemed like it was either an idea from that came from.
An application?
No, it wasn't from an application. I think it probably came from the board itself, or it came from land use. But from what they said, there wasn't anybody who was interested in opening one. And I think that kind of cooled the commission. They thought if there was somebody that was interested, I think they probably would be more interested in doing something, but just for the sake of opening it without any kind of idea what they're opening. And I think they're opening an awfully big thing, when they take and say, you know, open the whole town to it. And as I said at their meeting, and was basically, it's not gonna help our businesses one single bit if you take and put it way out in Mount Parnassus someplace, or you put it down in North Plains. They're gonna go to Salem, and so I would much prefer that if there is somebody else who wants it, let's see if there isn't a spot in our resort zone that we could help them put it together. So, but,
Before you go ahead,
yes.
Ralph's last site for a library, I think, is something that EDC should push. We gotta build a downtown again. And if you had a nice library here, close to the street, you know, meet that 25-foot setback, it would look like we're starting to develop a center again, so.
Well, that was, I suggested that, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
Moodus needs something.
Yeah.
Now, since the town took this building over, this has become a better looking place.
Oh, God, yeah.
With EDC in the last 5-10 years that I've been around, a lot of people have been insulted. When we do things down in the plaza at Goodspeed,
Yeah.
Business owners up here are very offended, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, but certainly they can't be. I mean, my gosh, we have invested tons of money. Look at this. This is
Not 10 years ago.
$15 million we put here.
Oh, into this.
Yeah.
But this is just recently.
Yeah.
But with EDC, 10 years ago, when we were having our Chowder Fest, people that ran Hilltop, which was, I forgot his name, Bill,
Yeah.
Ernie,
Ernie.
was very offended. You never do anything up here in Moodus. And I can kind of feel for him.
Yeah.
But then, during this time, Heritage Cove, Heritage Park took over,
Yeah.
and that put us on the map. That was like one of the best looking things. Moodus doesn't have a good reputation for doing projects. No.
I agree with what Don
Sometimes
said.
when I want to
Yeah.
when I want to upset a cop or somebody or a building official, and they say, "Where are you from?"
Yeah,
Moodus. That's what I thought.
Confuse it with Lisa.
High school. Where are you from? You know, Moodus. Yeah, you know, farmer. Blah blah blah. Anyways, Moodus has got a nice facelift lately, and Plains Road here is looking better every day. Moodus Center's looking better. The sidewalks, the plaza's looking good, and if we had a library here, East Haddam, Swing Bridge, we've got enough things that look good down there. We could use another landmark up here. So it's a good idea, and I agree
yeah,
with
you think, you know,
100%.
that expenditure, that's a lot of money.
Oh, God, yeah.
Go right here in the center of town.
Yeah.
You could build something really, really nice.
Where,
Well,
where's
and
this?
you're compelled to,
Where?
in order to comply, next door here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree with you.
You know, buy
more.
that one-family house and,
Yeah.
Only problem with this property around here, it's still got those easements from the Ray Corporation. The Ray Corporation still has rights to that.
Well, our chairman,
Bill?
Bill,
Yeah.
did some research on that.
Yeah.
And he finds that that would be an easy easement to get through for this type of situation, library. He feels very confident that.
Oh, you could get it they would allow you to do it.
Right.
But you can't ever sell it, or you can't ever do anything with it. They get, I mean, it's just like this building here, that, the town office, or the town clerk's office, that's on Ray property.
Yeah, but they ended up doing it with the Moodus Library, which they never thought they could do that to.
Well, that was
they
different,
own-
that was a trust fund, that was
Yeah,
a trust.
so they got that.
Yeah, but, I mean, when we built this, we tried to get out of that thing with Ray Corporation, and basically we couldn't get out of the thing.
So with you know about it, you think that that would be a bad idea, even if you got permission? I mean, is the town ever gonna sell this?
Well, whoever thought we would sell the library across the street?
Yeah, or the big issue with the town right now, down in Swing Bridge, is are they gonna sell, are they willing to sell, or are they willing to lease? A lot of people insist on only leasing it, that's one of the big issues.
Yeah.
Or, you know, God forbid we lose it and sell it, it's a big issue.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But I don't think this is ever gonna go anywhere, so I think it's a good gamble to put it there, for the sake of Moodus.
yeah.
You know, up at
Start
Heritage,
to build a center.
you know, the park is a nice place, it's getting a little far away, but once again, everything is far away anyways. You
Yeah.
need a car, no matter where you go in town.
Yeah.
It's a pedal bike. Right.
Well, and basically, I think the one you talked about around the Grange, that is a very nice location around there. And so, that is a good spot.
And it's centered.
To do
If
something.
you shot an arrow, would it reach it from here? Look how far away it is. You're
My
just
God, what are we talking, 2
spreading-
miles?
Spreading out, we've got no center.
Mhm.
And,
My
and I
vote
think
is-
if you got an opportunity to start to build one,
Yeah, right. I like to put it up at the transfer station because that's the most popular place. Everybody goes,
yeah.
right? And they already got a pile of books up there.
The problem is, they don't know when it's open and when it's closed. They're-
Yeah, go on Facebook and see, is it open today or is it closed?
Still haven't lived here 25 years, they haven't figured it out yet.
Well, you're gonna still be meeting, or are you all done with that committee?
No,
You're done,
we
right?
found the spots. Now it has to go to a building committee or the engineers to start saying what is the most
What's
feasible place.
Yeah,
And they do want a few people on that committee to be a part of, not really picking the spot, but people that are really interested in the library business should be on a committee, so when they start engineering it, designing it, that they accommodate what the needs of East Haddam is.
probably the first thing you gotta do is see where they're feasible. And from there,
The spot.
then, I think then we would all have a better idea as to what makes sense.
That dictates the first level,
Yeah,
a 2-level, a 1-level. It dictates the style of the building. If it was up at Heritage Park, it could be a little different than if it was over here or over there. So
Right.
the location. step
will
one-
dictate some of that kind of stuff. But, well, I think the first thing is let's see, the committee gets together and they're basically they're gonna look at them all, and they're probably gonna take and basically, the engineering is gonna tell you a lot.
Yeah, but to refer to what you were talking about, Don, Bob did attend a meeting or two of ours, be informed.
Yeah.
And with our input, EDC, we're gonna help guide the ship too.
Oh, yeah, I think we should be involved, and I hope that, you'll, kind of represent, EDC and because you're kind of
You're
into
done
it.
now, right?
Technically,
you're-
we're done.
Yeah, but,
The next committee gets set up to find the location, which is, for whatever reason, acceptable.
but there's a good chance, I think they'll take a couple of people off of the study committee and have a couple of those
Sure.
people, and let's hope that it's you, Ralph.
Yeah.
And, that they,
Probably do it.
yeah, and, I think it would be good, because, you've got the knowledge of the dirt, and you got the knowledge of the,
Well, the
construction.
location and the desire, and also I'm pushing for a 1-story.
You feel one story is the way to go?
It's accessible, and then administration, you can have more people on one floor, less bathrooms, double floor, you got double everything. So,
Stick in an elevator.
and the elevators usually don't work too well, and
They
are
don't, but
expensive,
you
right?
gotta have
We
one.
just lost the one, they took down the one that was in the Grange a few years ago, right?
Oh, yeah. It never did work. It never worked from day one.
Those are the most expensive people in the market, those are the most expensive tradespeople.
You gotta
But
have.
it was
You gotta have access.
But it was an
It's like a
oddball
story.
company name that we bought, and they went out of business as soon as we bought the thing.
So we eliminate that, one floor is easy for everybody,
Yeah.
easy parking, handicap, this, that.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll hope that you get on the next committee and you can keep us informed, and then at some point, we
Well,
can.
the clock is ticking, they gotta speed this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how fast things move. What'd it take us to get in here? I think it was 10 years. So hopefully they'll move a little faster than 10 years anyway. But, all right.
They got two on record, let's put it on record.
Oh.
Maybe 4.
Oh, okay. Proposed changes, okay, we took care of that. The airport festival. Okay. Maybe, our airport, person over here could give us a little idea as to, is what's gonna happen with the festival?
So, festival was pretty big last year, and Thomas Sanders, who who organized it. He kind of was the brainchild with the whole thing. And more or less, you know, we were the location and kind of took over the festival last year, but Thomas was the guy behind it. And he kind of achieved what he wanted to achieve. So he's not interested in doing it again.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it.
You have to run an airport.
I'm not a promoter.
Yeah.
And but so long story short is the festival is done, and unless somebody can take it over, it's my opinion that this has grown to a point where it really needs to be a town motivated event versus a private entity event, because it involves roads, it involves parking, it involves impacting the community. There's a lot of aspects to it. That really,
police services.
a private entity really shouldn't be taking on those roles in the community type of thing. On top of that, for 2023, we have the bridge closure. So even though the challenging parking situation that we've dealt with this year, because there was 5,869 people or something like that came through, that they clicked going through the door.
Wow.
And so there was challenges with good speeds parking, because even though we had police out there, people still managed to go into good speed and take their parking, and then there were shows going on, so that created some angst there. And then, but getting back and forth over the bridge with one lane or potentially a bridge closure would be a big problem. So we were like, 2023 might be a good year to take a breather, and if we're going to do this going forward, it would give an opportunity for somebody to jump in and come up with it. And he's got, as far as like doing the event, I mean, he has an outline.
Yeah.
A template,
Well, you've got to have
volunteers,
all the
all the boxes. It's like
Right.
if somebody was interested in it, would be like, here's the plan.
right. Yeah.
And you need volunteers for this. You need volunteers for this. We ended up with 30 garbage cans that now are just sitting in storage that are ready to go for. So there's a lot of things in place to make it happen again. As an airport is concerned, we're happy to make the property available for it. We don't make any money off of the deal. We charge the vendors. In a perfect world, to make the balance sheets work, there might be a way to make a little bit of money off of the thing for the airport. But the underlying motivation is not to be a moneymaker with it.
No, it's a wonderful activity for the town. This event is
side, for airport input. We're so this year for events, we're probably going to do a FlyIn event with limited community access to it. And again, parking and control of all that stuff outside would be, we'll do a FlyIn event and then maybe have one day where the public can come in type of thing. But no vendors, maybe a food truck or two or something like that. Yeah. That's still in the works to plan that.
Well, Bill, I've got to say, and I think I speak for the town, I've got to compliment you on being an owner of the airport, one of the owners. Nobody's contributed that much in such a nice way to the town. You put us on the map, and I visited both years.
Yeah.
But it made me proud.
Yeah.
I mean, for the first time, I got to feel the river, because I've always said I'd like to bring the river back to East Haddam, and you've heard me say it before.
Oh, yes, I've heard that one.
Only time people realize they're-
We are a river town.
Yeah.
But we got no way to get to the river.
The only time they realize there's a river is when the god dang bridge is open. Well, you made us proud, and it was the first time that we really felt the airport, because the airport, a lot of people, doesn't have anything to do with us. That's private. But you brought the airport back into town. You opened the doors up for everybody, and that was an event that, geez, you're on an airport, you're on the Connecticut River, you're looking at the good speed, the Gelston House, the beer garden. I mean, it gives you goosebumps.
Yeah, it was fun.
What a proud place to
and
be
honestly,
part of. We're all East Haddam.
Thomas, when we were first talking about owning the airport, and and he came to us and said, like, could I ever do this down here? We were like, absolutely, this would be like the, that's part of the goal was to
Yeah.
make to open that up and make it part of the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
part
well, we
of
felt
the
it for the
type of thing.
first time, we
Yeah.
felt the river.
Well, we
So-
never had it, we were
Airport.
never allowed on that,
Oh.
on that,
So,
basically that airport.
long story short is that, I think 2023 was a stretch to plan anything. And not just because we don't want to do it or there's because Thomas stepped up, but because of the implications of the bridge. I envision like maybe if you think about like, I don't know, like the Big E or something like that, where there'd be parking,
Off-site.
up on the top of 82 or by the school or something like that, and then have buses that bring people so that people don't know like, oh, you drive to the airport in order to go to this event, you drive to this location.
Yeah.
That would help mitigate some of that, or have two, one on the
Each side of the
Eagles,
river.
and stuff, and then that's logistics that costs money. That there's a bunch of things involved with that.
Yep.
But it would make it a lot easier if the town, and I don't know if a committee needs to be created to make that happen, or but if we started thinking about that in terms of 2024,
Yep.
I think that's a reasonable expectation.
And
to
I'm glad
put
to
together.
hear that, because basically, you gotta start in September in order
Yeah,
to
just to
get
get
this
food
thing
trucks,
put together.
like,
There's no
like,
way you can get into
if you
this
don't get the food
February or January 1st and think you're gonna have this ready to go
Yeah.
in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen, and it's a huge project to do it. But I do think that whether it's EDC or whether it's the rec department or whatever, I don't think the rec department is probably the one to do it, but I think it's probably gotta be EDC. I don't know who else was gonna
And I
take
mean,
this on.
originally, this thing kind of started in the hands of the business association, but honestly, I don't
big.
see that there would be able to pick it up.
Take a few people, take a couple groups.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think that's what it'll take, but I also think that let's say EDC, if the committee wanted to take this on, I think we've got to get professional help to
A
do it.
promoter.
And,
takes a
and
person.
basically have somebody who is going to be in charge that you're going to pay to put this thing on, and there's gotta be enough revenue out of the thing to pay
Well,
them.
and so, like we were charging $100, no, $50 per booth. The food vendors were free. And then there were donations. And, I think we took in about 15 grand, 15.5, and it cost us 16.
Yeah.
Is to do all the stuff.
Right.
Huh.
And that was, and a big chunk of the money was paying the police,
Oh, yeah.
paying.
Insurance had to be several
It was
thousand.
about $4,000 for the
Yeah, with
insurance.
insurance.
Seriously, huh?
And,
Yeah.
yeah, for an event insurance
Yeah,
like
'cause-
that.
yeah,
And
that's
that-
really
and
expensive.
It could be less, but when it involves airplanes and parachute jumpers, then even though the parachute company has their own insurance and stuff, is an airport. If we would have had an air show, it would have been
Double that.
more. But the parachuters added like $2,000 to the insurance bill with it. It would have been about two grand worth of insurance without the parachutes coming.
But
out.
if it was
But the
EDC that
parachutes-
was sponsoring this,
Then
we could ride on the
the
town's
insurance,
liability
yeah,
policy.
So there'd be
And that's what I would
things-
be looking to do to cut the costs. Then there's $4,000 right there that we could have to pay a promoter. Maybe we could wiggle the money around so that we
Yeah.
could actually hire somebody to do it. And, cause it's such a huge event for the
and,
town.
and the I think if the town took it versus again a private entity, let's say I had all the time in the world and I said I wanted to do this, and I said okay, in order to make this happen, every person who comes in has to pay $5. There was so much stuff donated that I suspect that donation would go away. It's like, why am I going to donate money, or why am I going to donate my services if the airport's gonna
Making
make
money.
I'm doing
Right.
this to make a living off
Right.
of the deal.
Absolutely. You
know,
would,
kinda
because then
thing.
it looks like it's a private
Right,
enterprise
right.
who's doing something.
Because
And
there are, like, Simsbury, for instance, does an air show, car show, food truck thing over a weekend.
Yep.
And that's how they pay for their basically their maintenance, and they charge $10 a head to come in.
Yeah.
And they make, that's their budget for the year, you know, that's how they.
Doing that for years over there.
Yeah, yep.
And there isn't any reason that we couldn't have some kind of a
Yeah.
fee to take and come into that, cause I think most people would be very happy
And
to
the
pay you your
feedback from
$5 to
people,
come into.
You know, like
to that
having
show.
it, like, it was the same day as the Chester Fair, or the same
Yep.
weekend. And, you know, there were a lot of people who opted not to go to the Chester Fair because this was free.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't have a scientific study, but I mean, I just am talking to people. I was like, they were just like, oh, you know, well, part of it was so hard to get over the bridge.
Yeah.
We just went into the parking lot, and it was free, and it would have gone. You know, I would have had to pay, you know, $5 for my kids, $20 for myself, and another $20 for my wife, and then $5 to park. Or I think they were getting $10 to park this year for Chester. But anyway, it was like, you know, $50-$60 before you even walked in the door.
Right.
To go to the Chester Fair, and then you got your food and, you know, this and that and the other.
Right.
You know, it's so.
It's a lot different when you don't have all that heavy
And
expense
if there
to
was
come
a
in.
way to make that happen without it being so expensive and stuff like that, then, but maybe it's unrealistic, I don't know, but it's one of those things where I think that you need the town behind it to make that happen.
I think that, you know, equally, you know, you whoever is gonna have to pay the cops. I mean, you know, you
Right.
gotta have certain cops. You
Yep.
gotta have, whether the town's paying for it or whether it's coming out of the pot of
Because there were
the
state troopers
organization.
and Carl,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and.
Yeah, excuse me,
yeah.
if it was a town, if the town took it over, like EDC, do we still have to pay the cops?
Yeah, you still have to pay the cops.
I mean, separate. They're
It's
not.
not part of the routine patrol.
No,
No.
yeah, that's a separate little thing you fill out.
Basically, that's extra time for them.
Oh, that's extra time.
Private duty pay.
Yeah, yeah, and so you still have to pay them. I think there's places though that I always think a real big one is that insurance, because insurance, and it's a pain to get that stuff, that one day activity like that, and so I think there's a lot of things we could do, but you know, maybe we can look at this as a committee. And then see if, you know, if there is such a person or an organization out there who could be the organizer of this, and see what the fee structure might be, and see if that's something that would work.
And I know.
Lauren listening? Is Lauren listening?
I know that, I know Thomas would help. So for instance, like, you know, he used to be an Army Ranger, and so the reason the military guys were there is because he knew how to talk to them, and he knew how to, you know, like, and that actually started because they came in for, it's a long story, but anyway, there was some Air National Guard people who came in, you know, on helicopters, and then they were like, oh boy, if you ever want to do anything. Well, it turns out, did you know that you can apply to have our military, you know, you could have a tank drive down the road in your parade, and you can apply to the federal government to ask.
For a tank?
We bought it. It's
Yeah.
our tank. You know, and all we have to do is ask for the application. You know, and so there's like, and he jumped through all those hoops to do the
that?
thing to say, you know, this is how we get the Chinook here today.
Yeah.
And you just have to know how to do it and how to navigate.
You
those
gotta know
military
what phone call
things.
that is.
Yeah,
Who's the person
and,
you?
you know, and you have to talk to the captain who talks to the corporal who talks to the you
Right.
know, this and that and everything like that, and he knows how to navigate that stuff. So and that's what.
In the
made some of that
military, it
cool
works
stuff.
that way. You gotta
Yeah.
know somebody. If
Yeah,
you wanna
can
get
have-
anything through the
you
military.
can have troops like, you know, I want a battalion to show up and march down our street for our parade.
Yeah.
You can ask for that.
Yeah. Whether you're gonna get it or not,
Is
you
another
know.
story, but yeah,
but
and it can't be for profit,
Right.
and it can't be you can't be charging for people to see it, and
Yeah.
you can't, you know, and,
Yeah.
and there's some stuff about all.
oh,
that
I'm
stuff.
sure
Yeah,
it's got to
it's
be
interesting.
something where
Yeah.
you're not making money on that. So
Yeah, yeah.
is this something that the group would like to even think about to take and see if we
I think
could?
it's worth discussion. You know, you say, well, if the town took it over, they don't have a skill set to run a
No,
fair.
we need a person.
You know?
we need a person.
And,
Yeah.
and I think you need somebody that's a professional that knows
Mm-hmm.
what applications you gotta apply for. Where do you get the tank to come in your
So
parade?
if you
You know?
did
So you
that,
gotta
that
have-
promoter would be the most expensive
Yeah.
thing. So that's, you know, 10
He's-
grand right there going to the promoter
Make
to
it,
put
yeah,
this event
to make
together.
it successful.
And I don't know the number, but it's
Yeah,
just,
but
you know,
there's
yeah,
there is a fee.
a third of the budget.
Right.
Would go to that.
And you know what? I think that for the number of people in this community that basically go down there and participate in this whole thing,
Yeah.
I think they would say that's a good investment for
Yeah.
us to take and do that.
Yep.
And but I think, you know, it's got to come out of the pot. You know, if
Right.
if we find it's $10,000, then the pot somehow has to have 10,000 for the promoter.
Right.
I mean, we can kind of organize it, but
Yep.
you know, we're not going to run it, and because we're in the same boat you are, we can
Yeah.
run it from our office,
Yeah.
but we're not going to run around and trying to organize something where we can handle, you know, 3,000 people. I liked it to stay like about 3,000 because once it got to almost 6,000, I'll tell you, that really jammed things up a
It
lot.
was, yeah, it affected the community.
Oh,
Yeah.
It-
And that, you know, I don't know, you know, that's, you know, you're a victim of your own success. You know, how do you make something smaller?
yeah, right.
And that's either you put, you know, like in retail, if you're, you know, if you can't keep up with what you raise the price.
No, exactly,
And,
exactly.
You know,
And
if you're
you know
a
what-
builder, you
Right.
stay like,
All you do,
"Alright,
yeah,
well,
all
I'll do
you
this
do is-
job, but it's going to cost you this much."
Right. It used to be $100, now it's gonna be $125.
Right,
And-
right.
And if it's still got too many people coming, then it's $150.
Right,
And
right. And
that's what you
know,
do.
So it's you know, and how do you sell it to the community and say, but you're not invited.
Yeah, right.
So
No,
so the capacity could be there. It would just be needed to be managed better. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's all possible. I
Yeah.
think it's all possible to do.
I think if it was all food trucks,
Yeah,
it would, you know, food trucks, airplanes, fire trucks, and some skydivers, and people would just be like, "What a great day!"
Yeah.
And lots of
They
water.
have a food
yeah. Especially if it's gonna be 90 degrees and we're looking for, get under a
And
wing
lots-
in order to get
lots of
some
water.
shade.
They have a food truck festival at the Hebron Fairgrounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of that's happening now because they're finding like they say like, oh, we're gonna have one day of just food trucks, and the next day is like the fair and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
so
So-
let's take and try to organize that a little bit, and so we'll either put together a committee or whatever we need to do, and see what we could do to organize something like that. I think that we can make this happen, and so let's, because it'll really depend on finding the right person to actually do it, and that basically, you know,
Yep.
works with you, works with this committee, or with whatever committee, and, but I really, I don't know who else in the town who could do this.
Right,
I-
right.
I-
Nobody comes to mind. Yeah.
No, I just don't see it happening. I think it's gonna, if it's gonna happen, it's EDC who's gonna do it. Because I don't see anybody else gonna do it. Anyway, Nutmeg Pharmacy, apparently, from last I heard, January 6th, they were gonna move into their new location over in the old pharmacy there. And so I think that it certainly worked out well for Nutmeg Pharmacy, that they're gonna get obviously a much bigger store, and they're gonna get parking. And that's what they've been
What
missing.
are the future plans? Is he gonna build, or is that off now?
Nah, he said that's off. He said
Okay.
the price of building a new building is
Yeah,
just
just
so,
escalated so much.
it just doesn't, it
Prohibitive.
isn't feasible for him to do it. And, so, you know, if things ever change, then, but I think he's perfectly happy just paying some rent and calling it a day and not getting into,
Rumor about putting that on the market, that piece of land.
I have no idea.
Did it actually go for more than $1 million?
Well,
Across the street from the
Yeah.
tavern.
How much did that property go for? Across the street from the tavern, Hilltop.
oh, we mean where they bought?
Lee Davis's piece
Yeah,
there?
it was 150, I think,
It was
140.
150,000,
Yeah.
that's it.
You know who owned that? That
Yeah.
basically,
Was
so-
it Davis?
Davis lost it.
no, he
He
didn't
lost
own
it,
it.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
Colchester Construction,
Yeah, they're
They-
the same people that have all the buildings up on, where. the-
Grove Street over there. He built all that senior housing over there on Grove Street, and that was part of the package. When he bought one, he got the other piece too. And so, yeah, so he paid 150. That's what I understood anyway. And so, and I think he was the guy who owned it, I think he was very glad to see it go and to take and have something going on. But anyway, I think it's great for basically for both of them. I think it's good for Nutmeg. I think it's good for the plaza. I think it's good for East Haddam. So we're going to get a pharmacy. He's going to get some room and not have to get involved in building a building over there. The schedule for meeting dates on 2023. Basically, I've had some people ask that we change the meeting date from the first Thursday of each month to the third Thursday of each month. Is that something that the board wants to do or would consider doing, or would they rather stay with what they have?
It doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother you either way? Dave, any difference
I'm
to
not
you?
gonna object, I mean,
Okay.
You know, as long as it doesn't conflict with the other meetings in town, you know, rooms are gonna be available.
Well, basically, that's what I checked out.
Okay.
Basically, I asked Linda if we could have either this room or the room next door on that date, and yes, so.
Pretty open. All
Yeah,
right.
so basically, then what I would do is I'd like a motion for somebody to change the dates of our scheduled meetings from the first Thursday of each month to the third Thursday of each month.
I'll make a motion that we change our meetings from the first Thursday of each month to the third Thursday of each month.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, then that's what we'll be doing. So our next meeting will be, I think it's gonna be January, it'll be, January the 19th, that's what it is. January the 19th, and then, so it's gonna be like right about in the middle, the February 16th, March 16th, and so it'll be right in the middle of the month. So, okay, that's what we'll do. Businesses of the month, basically, I thought maybe we'd make Nutmeg Pharmacy, since they're,
Oh, they're
having a
new.
new location and,
Sure.
and basically give them a little, vote of confidence from Economic Development and the Business Association. And then also the daycare that's right across the street over here. They've done a great job over there, and they took the old church and redid that old church and scraped it down to bare wood and brought that back. And,
Oh, you've been in it?
I haven't been inside, but basically what they've done on the outside, he did a great job with that, and cleaning that thing right down to bare wood and then building it back up again. That's a lot of work. So I give them a lot of credit, and they bought the building, so they own it, and so
Which building? Theirs?
the old Methodist
Oh, the
church
Methodist
across the
church,
street.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a daycare over there now,
Yeah.
and it's the.
To the old Moodus Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically, they were in Mike Moss's place over
Yeah.
there, and so then they had a chance to buy the old church, and so they bought the church and did that, and then I think Mike made apartments out of the other building that he had, the one next door to that one, but. And then the other one I was thinking about trying to work in is the bookstore that's down in the center of East Haddam. They're right by the ice cream shop down there.
Are they open?
As far as I know, they are.
Okay, because they weren't, right, wait,
Oh,
because
they
they were still
weren't?
working on trying to get bathroom stuff worked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, then maybe we won't work on that right now.
just
then.
check with the, just-
Yeah,
Lauren-
okay.
Lauren knows.
Yeah.
Scoop.
Okay. All right. So, well, let's say it'll be
But I think-
maybe in March, and so. But if it doesn't work out, then by that time we'll have a meeting. We'll change it to somebody else. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody want to? I'm going to make a motion that we make those three the business of the month.
Sure.
So proposed.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
All right. Joe seconded. Perfect. We want to get you written down here.
Yeah.
Bill seconded it.
Yeah.
We got to get his name in the minutes around here. Everybody
I
know he's
officially
here.
attended.
All right. Don made the motion.
but attended.
Bill seconded it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Done. All right. Public comment. There is nobody other than commission members here, so ends that. Discussion by EDC members. anything anybody wants to bring up,
Well, I
about,
like this location better.
you do? Oh, you do?
It's more comfortable.
Yeah, it's got a quaint feel to it.
I like the backdrop.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
You look good, your shirt looks good again.
Oh, okay, I'm matching
Get some
color.
artwork.
The
I
flags on
like
each side of you,
that.
you feel very presidential.
Well, we'll feel like it's seasonal here. So, all right, basically, if we don't have anything, Don, you don't have anything you'd like to bring up?
No,
Or
we're all set.
do you have anything that you think EDC should be doing, or we need to do, or need to think about, or anything? Okay, all right, then, motion to adjourn?
I second that.
Second.
All right, got it. All right, thank you. Appreciate everybody coming, because we did have a few things that we needed to do, and I definitely wanted to get that schedule. I have to file with the town clerk, so, and that needs to be done by the first of the month. And so, and I also just wanted to bring everybody up to date on where we are around here. So.
Before you leave, I'm gonna show you those photos.
Oh, yeah,
door, right?
okay, yeah,
'Cause
great.
I don't know what type of, if you want the old American doors or like more of a Victorian door.
It's a 4-panel. It's a 4-panel.
Yeah, it's a 4-panel, but, you know, you can go Gucci or you can go like swap.
Good night, everybody.
Okay,
Bill,
good.
take it
See ya.
easy.
Thank you.
Night, Bill.
Just for example,
Take it easy, Dave. See you later.
I was
I'll
gonna
see you,
mention,
Davey.
I was gonna mention, I got a friend in Glastonbury, he's got Class A and Class B office buildings.
Yeah.
He's down 60% rent,
Oh, down 60%.
down 60%. These are Class A and Class B buildings.
Wow. Just to give you an
People are
idea.
working from home.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just retail, they're working from home.
Oh, I know. You they can go to Hartford and see what's happening with those huge buildings up there.
Yeah.
Floor after floor.
Yep.
I mean, each one of these floors are 20,000 square feet. And can you imagine if you're the landlord of one of those, and all of a sudden I have 7 floors empty?
Unbelievable.
I got some office space that's
okay,
been
I'll
vacant
see you around the
for
loop.
4
Oh, yeah.
years
Go
now.
straight home, right?
No, maybe not.
I am.
Are you gonna go straight home?
Yeah. Yeah, winter time, you
I
know.
might go next door to my
Tend
house,
to go out.
Yeah.
see if they're open, if the lights are still on there.
They'll be open.
Yeah.
I'll walk
But
down
is
out the
the,
trinkets.
Is the town
Sure.
tavern officially closed? The town tavern officially closed?
End of the month,
Oh, end of the month.
end of the month.
They were closed today. Today's, Thursday. I'm surprised they were
Closed for good?
No, I thought they were supposed to be only
Well,
closed
they
on
had a big
Mondays.
party the other night. I didn't.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know why they were closed today, but I bumped into her
Oh, you did?
and she said they're going to the end of the month.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're gonna close permanently.
yeah.
They're gonna close permanently.
So you've got basically they're closing and Levita is,
But new ownership down there.
oh, did they buy?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Boy, great.
Believe it or not, I wonder if they hit 800 on that. She wanted over $1 million.
I know it.
Yeah, I saw that, it was 1.2.
Yeah.
I saw it on
Yeah.
LoopNet.
Yeah, well, they wanted, what's his name to buy it, the fellow who's bidding from the town property.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean,
But they were too slow, but God bless the guy that's got balls big enough.
boy, I'll tell you, that's, takes some big ones to take and think, I'm gonna pick that up right now when I got that bridge going closed
Yeah,
down.
Plus zero parking, and whoever takes over the new town hall.
They control parking.
They control parking.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
look,
so it's interesting.
Yeah.
there's a lot of them big guys that are just downsizing.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that the big guys call that downsizing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The dudes
I don't
that
know.
bought the,
Have a good night,
chart
gentlemen.
house, okay, I'll
Take
see
care.
you. Okay, here's a 4-panel.
Hey, nice you guys could see me again.
Yes, yeah, it was nice to
See
take
you
and see
again.
you.
We see you again. So here's, one, now, there's some of these doors, here's your 4-panel, we got flat panel, and we have a raised panel. Some of them are flat on one side.
Oh, yeah,
Now, this one here is more of a,
Oh, yeah,
this one here is more of an expensive house,
Yep, yep, yep.
okay?
Has a little more detail to it.
Yeah, more detail.
Yep, yep.
And then-
No, what I was looking for is basically the, where's the one that was the
This one here
4?
is like real flat.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have some
like
here
that.
that are really flat. I have pictures of them, but, well, these here are the, well, this one here is also, the other side is a flat, that one's raised.
Oh, yeah, yep, yeah.
The other side's flat, and some are very flat.
Huh.
Some are not even, well.
It doesn't have any detail to it, huh?
Right, it's just pure flat.
Huh,
But like, here's one that's been really finished. Is,
yeah,
this is a high quality interior door
yeah, yeah.
compared to.
Are
this one.
they about an inch thick?
Well, these here, this one here is about 1.125" thick.
Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
eighth and that's probably 1.25".
Yep.
This one could be 1 3/8".
Okay, yep,
And some of them all of a sudden were 1 3/8". Obviously, our exterior doors were 1 3/4"
Sure.
back in the day.
right. Yeah.
But, and some of these doors here, some of these interior doors, they came out of an estate in Tenafly, New Jersey. This was like regular bathroom doors.
Yeah.
Some of the doors, necessarily that one, but some of these doors, interior doors, are 1.5" thick.
Oh. Huh, no, I'm looking for the one just 1 1/8".
1.125".
Yeah.
With soft panel.
Yep.
Some are finished and some aren't finished.
Right, and I would probably say I don't need the real finish on it.
Yeah, because what we did for Jackie Dodge is where we gave her a stress look. Because we sent them out to Old Saybrook, and I don't think Old Saybrook's open anymore. Mr. Dip Stripper.
Okay, stripper, yeah.
Jack the Stripper.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
he's still there?
I don't know.
But anyways, he was getting $200 a side. Wow. And they were coming out too fluffy.
Yeah.
And then we had to sand the shit out of them, and it wasn't getting our look.
Yeah.
So what we did, we started stripping them ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same price, but we got a better finish.
Yeah.
And then, years ago, we were doing it for a lady. We did it for a lady on the corner of Joshua Town Road and at 82 going down to the ferry.
Okay, yep, yep.
That was an old storefront, 2-story.
Yeah.
It was Mrs. Forget her name.
Yeah.
But the old store did some work for her, and she had the second floor renovated, and she had a stress look on all her doors. She just stripped them down, not all the way, about 90%.
Mm-hmm.
She left the character there of all the years of
Mm-hmm.
them being painted,
Mm.
and then she just put an oil finish on them.
Yep.
Just get some wetness to them.
Yep.
They look too dry and they lost their quality when they get too dried out. But if you put a little rub oil in it,
Yeah.
I forget what type of oil, there's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut down linseed oil or tongue oil or anything.
Yeah.
And then it brought a little flavor on their door.
Yeah.
So then I showed Jackie Dodd those type of doors, and she did her entire Carpenter's Gothic, all those doors.
Oh. Huh.
And all stressed.
Oh, she wanted
Yeah.
it stressed.
And it's a cool look, rather than painting them,
Yeah.
and we have character. Everybody that comes into the house will be, gravitates toward the doors, and you can even see their hands come out.
Huh.
And touch that door.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, it becomes a conversation piece.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it quite a bit lately. Not making them totally finished, just like sometimes with furniture, if you make it too perfect, you lost the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't leave the oldness.
No, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. So you've got some of those doors?
I've got a couple customers that willing
Part
to
with them?
part with them,
Okay.
and she'd like to get them out of her warehouse. I can bring a couple over to my barn and show them to you if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Just
how
bring
many are you looking for?
4.
Just 4.
Yeah. 4, maybe 5. But I think.
Oh, so you're gonna do your own jam?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you do a beaded jam?
Yeah. I just.
Because back in the day, are you gonna replicate the existing jams?
I'm just putting a bead on it. That's
Oh,
what I'm doing.
Because some of these existing jams blow your mind how the
Oh.
boys did them,
Oh.
right? How they
Well,
did
that's
the
what I'm doing.
jam.
I'm doing that with the windows.
Yeah.
I'm basically, the living room still had the original trim on it from the 1850. And, oh my God, it's a job to do it, but.
It's something else, how they did that, how
oh.
they engineered it.
Yeah, but I mean, so now, that's a formal room and I'm making a dining room a formal room.
Yeah.
So I had to match that and it does look great. It
does, it's pretty wild.
But it's a ton of work, I mean, to take and do it.
Well, you gotta get your mind wrapped into it.
And you gotta put the time into it.
Get set up,
Yeah,
and it's amazing, even though we've got some heavy-duty tools, it's amazing how these guys pull that off.
I know it.
They made the jam, the casing and the jam, on one side, it's just all one piece.
Yeah. Yeah,
Look at, and then the plaster is basically behind it, or butted to
Butted it.
because butted
Where I am,
is
everything
so
just butts
thin,
it.
And you go, holy shit, man,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you throw away the clock, right?
Yeah, oh, it's a ton of work, but yeah, if you
right
could,
in the morning.
yeah, if you could grab one for me, I would love to
Okay,
take.
well, I'll see a few of the thin ones that are finished,
Yeah.
and not finished.
Yeah, okay. And, let me turn that thing on.
And I'll get my jacket too.
Yeah, I thought, there it is, yeah, I was thinking that it was you or Bill. Okay, this thing shut itself down. Boy, I hope that Sharon gets the minutes from this thing.
Get what?
Gets the minutes, because that thing shut itself down. Now, if not, I'll have to recreate some. I should have wrote down who made both of them. I may have to call you up, who made motions.